Everything about the Knicks is what I thought they will be doing. Jalen Brunson, outside of his shooting woes in game two, was the saving grace in game one.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast, the global authority on coaching leadership, where coaching wisdom meets real talk. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and on today's Wind Up Wednesday edition, in segment one, we're going to talk about the Nova Knicks chase in history, and are the Spurs really done? In segment two, Steph Curry has signed a $400 million mega deal, but we're kind of paused on it. We'll have the conversation about it. Also, the Mavericks are searching for a savior. And is OKC on the brink of a rebuild, or is that just a little slow down on that? And in segment three, the Minnesota Lynx are defying the odds without their best player. And we also need to have a conversation about Caitlin Clark's viral sideline outlaw exchange with Coach White, as well as maybe a few too many texts. I don't know. With us today, our basketball correspondent, Danny Thompson, is here, and Captain for Life, Will Cotton, is here to help us make sense. All right, gentlemen, I posted the Harley race. Take the money. I'm getting text messages from Knicks fans. I'm getting voicemails from Knicks fans. So let's have the conversation. New York's Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and Mikal Bridges already made history. They are only the second trio from the same college to start an NBA's final game together, joining DePaul alumni George Mikan, Johnny Jorgensen, and Whitey Catchin. I bet you he was a shooter from the 48-49 Minneapolis Lakers. So the Nova Knicks, shout out to Damon Pegram, good friend of the show, share a championship DNA. All three won the 2016 NCAA national title under Jay Wright. That guy's got to be making some consultant money right now. Brunson and Bridges went on to win an additional title after Hart graduated. And local note, Hart spent a cup of coffee at Wheaton High School prior to my arrival there as AD. So kudos to Josh Hart. If New York secures this title, this trio will become just the fifth group of teammates in basketball history to win both an NCAA and NBA championship together, and would join legendary pairs like Bill Russell and Casey Jones, as well as Kareem and Lucius Allen from the UCLA days, and they were on the Milwaukee Bucks together. All right, Danny. We've had this conversation, and we even got to watch game two together. What are you thinking about the Nova Knicks?
Everything about the Knicks is what I thought they will be doing. Jalen Brunson, outside of his shooting woes in game two, was the saving grace in game one. Mikal Bridges is doing his thing. Josh Hart is that Swiss Army knife that we've known him to be his entire career. What surprised me about the Knicks has nothing to do with the Villanova trio. It's Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns is playing like the finals MVP, and no one else matters at this point. He's doing things on the defensive end that I wished he would do consistently more during the season. He's being physical. He's protecting the rim. He's not running his mouth and chirping about bad calls. I'm not getting this. I'm not getting that. He's playing within the flow of the game. And it's beautiful to watch. He is a mismatch nightmare for Wembanyama when Wemby's playing defense, because Karl is one of those players who can step beyond the three-point line and let it go. He can take Wemby off the dribble and create space and get to the basket and make layups. What's got me with him this series, the first two games at least, is what he's done on the defensive end. He's doing things that I wish he did during the season more often. So as much as we want to put all the praise on the Nova guys, and they're playing great basketball right now, the focus is on Cat. Cat is playing, and he's pretty much playing himself into being finals MVP if the Knicks win this series.
All right, Cotton Man. Oh, I love always talking to my captain about basketball. What are you thinking about the Knicks? Because Pretty much a lot of things that you have said have come to pass. Give me your thoughts, sir.
They personify the New York City. That's why a lot of that energy is coming from. They never give up. And it's always good when you have the identity of your city, that blue collar, even though we know Manhattan ain't really blue collar, but they are blue collar in a way. But like Danny said, I mean, I was one of the people who said to a lot of people, I said, Cat is going to be the guy who's going to be the biggest impact if he's not the most MVP. Just so many things that he does. And as a fantasy basketball manager myself, I mean, he's been on my team the last 2-3 years, and every day, every night, this dude is double, flirting with triple doubles, and I always find issues. Maybe I look too into the data because Knicks fans were so frustrated with him. And I'm like, this guy comes out and on a bad day has 18 and 11, and you guys win. And I feel, oh, Cat, da 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 da, and we're gonna trade him for Giannis. And I remember that was the talk earlier this season. It was like, should we trade Cat for Giannis? And I'm like, yo, Giannis is an amazing talent, but Cat does so many different things that the Knicks do. Even like I saw there was one clip of him. He had this like pin somebody on the sideline and beamed a dime right to the bucket. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, dude, that dude can do a lot of things, man. He's not the most athletic guy. I mean, he couldn't slide a trading card under his foot if he took a jump, this dude. But he's doing things. He's frustrating Wemby. I'm not small. I'm athletic. I got 30 pounds on you. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to frustrate the hell you on the offensive side. I'm not scared of you. I don't care how tall you are. I'm going right. He goes right at him. He dunked on him once. He'll pull him out and things like that. And then Josh Hart. I mean, you need a guy like Josh Hart. You need a guy who's going to do things and not look about his stats. I think game one, he shot maybe like 1 for 9 or something like that. Terrible. But he had 15 rebounds, 3 more rebounds than Wemby had. And he's a guard. And Coach, we talked about that. I said, I would have been killing him if you got out-rebounded by a guard, man. That's and at the tall and not the tallest guard at all. He's not like he's like a 6'10" guard or something like that. The Knicks are playing their game more than the Spurs are playing their game right now.
Yeah, and great segue for this. I'm going to address this with Will first. Coach Adams is going to talk about what he's seen with San Antonio. I'm mad at their assistants. That's who I'm mad at. Because in game one, you didn't put the kid back in, and one of the jobs of an assistant is to get to the head coach, right in his ear, and say, hey, man, we need to make a change. So I don't want to hear in the post-game press conference, well, maybe no. Also, the assistants, as you call timeout, have to be the first one to grab Wemby game one and say, get your big behind inside, blah, 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 and then go in, whatever. All right, so now we move to game two because the Spurs are not a bad team. They're a good team playing badly, and we don't have time for you to play badly. Coach Adams is a stickler on time and score. And at the end of game two, 2 guys didn't want the ball. That was a problem because at some point, it looked like you never practiced. So you got one guy saying, hold on, slow down, and then leaving. And then you've got the 7'6" guy who shouldn't be bringing the ball up the court in that situation anyway, saying, I don't know what to do. That's young people basketball, and that's a lack of time and score because Will Cotton can tell you, end of the season, we're up 3, down 2, this situation, that situation. So it's muscle memory in a game. So I'm disappointed with the instruction that the young 22, 21, 23-year-old players are getting because they're good enough to beat this team, and they're not being helped. And right now, you need leadership to help you through. Cotton Man first. You heard Durant in person, but what do you think? Is the old man wrong? What are you thinking about the Spurs?
No, I think I think that's one thing that's not being really talked about because in the media we talk about just on court, who's actually holding the ball, who's wearing the jersey, but there are 6 men behind them who get paid to do the same thing, millions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? And if they're not, I guess, crossing their T's and dotting their I's, That is the difference between winning and losing, especially in sports. I mean, business itself. I mean, you have to do that for your diligence, for compliance and things like that. So you have to cross those T's and dot the I's anyway. So you know, it's a small story that really had a bigger impact than we really thought. Because if you're not managing the game, then it's for naught at the end of the day. Why is Wemby bringing the ball up and passing to, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? And obviously that was not a play because I believe it was Harper, or no, it was Vassell, but he wasn't even looking. He wasn't even looking. It should be muscle memory by June. If we're having this play and the play is out, we're breaking out. Let's go. We got a rebound, or we got the inbound, and we're going up the sideline. He should already have turned around saying, let's get this. But for him to be not looking, that's not even something that they have worked on or emphasized that saying that. So,
and before I get to Danny, Follering's running up to the ball and taking it out of your hands.
Yeah.
That's what
I mean, it's yeah. I mean, both of them. I mean, you had veteran guards, you have rookie guards who have been playing well all year. It's just, it's you gotta do your things, man. It's crossing T's, man. It's you can't do that, especially in the finals. And you know what the thing is, Coach? You probably get away with that 95% of the time during the regular season. Maybe another 7% during the playoff. Like, oh, whew, man, good he didn't see that. But when we're talking about there's 7 games and you got to win 4 of them, and these people and these coaches, man, I'm talking about, they are masters. I mean, we talk about a room of doctors talking about brain surgery and all kinds of stuff like that. It's the same thing with a bunch of coaches. You're talking about these dudes are locked in. They will identify these things and take advantage of it. So yeah, man, I think it's something that the whole team needs to tighten it up. Let's not just look at the players, but say, coaches, hey, look, I need to do my jobs, do my responsibility, and make sure that I close those gaps.
Yeah, and Danny, I'm gonna come to you with this about the Spurs. Fans, when we recruited Danny, I explicitly said to Danny, sit behind the bench and watch how we teach, watch how we coach. And my high school mentor, Hank Alada, said when I became an assistant coach, he said, you better tell me what I need to know and not worry about our relationship from whatever, because if you're not going to correct me, you serve me no purpose. So Danny saw me as one of the lead assistants have constant conversation with the head coach. Whether he did it or not, that's not for me, but you have to say something. And I don't know what's going on behind the bench, but the types of mistakes I'm seeing are not head coach mistakes, because the head coach is looking at what's on the court. It's the assistants who should be doing the substitution, the defense coordinator, the offense coordinator, all of that. So when you look at San Antonio, and again, we watched the game together with basketball people, which is a beautiful thing, as Will was saying. What are you thinking about the Spurs?
It's a lot of different things. I'm just start with the main thing. It's the coaching staff is issue number one. And I'm talking about the assistants, because there was a point in the game and you heard me screaming this out loud Friday night. Why are you double teaming Jalen Brunson at the half court line, which leads you to be in scramble mode on defense once he gets the ball out of his hands? That was eating me alive inside the entire night.
And they stuck every shot.
And they hit every shot out of their double team. Every single one of them. I was sitting back trying not to break things in the room where we were sitting in, because I was getting frustrated. That's part one. Part two, and somebody mentioned this, and I saw this earlier, and it really got to me a little bit when I saw it. That last play we're talking about, with Wemby getting the ball and they're going up the sideline. Steph and Castle not even looking for the ball. De'Aaron Fox is under the basket. He's right there next to Wemby. Doesn't demand the ball. Dylan Harper sandwiched within 2 Knicks players, but once they got clear, he went down the floor. At some point, and this is why I stress floor generals on the floor, which the Spurs do not have, clearly. I'm finding some way to have my point guard come get the ball from my 7'5" center trying to bring the ball to the floor with 12 seconds left in the game. Playing for the Mount, we had a guard named Jeremy Good. No matter what happened, no matter what was going on, if it was time and score, the first thing he would do, clap his hands, get our attention, give me the ball. Let's go down the floor and set something up. That's what the Spurs lack right now. They don't have that on the floor right now. And then again, it goes back to what we were just talking about. His assistants should be seeing this and saying something to Mitch on the bench, but they're not saying anything. And like, there are no in-game adjustments, especially when we were talking about the trapping at half court. He's nowhere near the basket, especially when as bad as Jalen Brunson was shooting, there was no need to double team him at that point.
There wasn't.
There was no need for it. So if the Spurs coaching staff doesn't get it together and make the right adjustments to tell Mitch on the bench, let's see, game 3 is Monday, game 4 is Wednesday. You can go ahead and say, hey, bring the trophy to New York on Wednesday and let's go ahead and crown New York the champs, because that's what's going to happen. Because now you have to go into Madison Square Garden trying to make on-the-fly adjustments, and it's already going to be a pressure cooker in that arena just tomorrow. So that's where the issues lie.
All right. So to wrap up, game 3 is on Monday. This comes out on Wednesday, which would be the day of game 4. And then I believe game 5 is on Saturday. So when we tape next week, we might have an NBA world champion. So we'll see what happens. But in segment 2, Steph Curry made a lot of money, but he also gave some pause to some politicians. We're going to have that conversation. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast. Hi, everyone. Dr. Keith Adams here. And for over 30 years, I've dedicated my life to helping student athletes succeed, not just on the fields and the courts, but in the classroom and beyond. And that's why I founded the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project understands that finding the balance between academics and athletics is crucial for long-term success. That's why the CKA Save Project offers a range of programs, including personalized consulting, mentorship, and coming in 2027, our innovative Gap Year Basketball Academy designed to assist both young men and women reach their full potential both on and off the court. I'm incredibly excited to announce that the CK Save Project is now partnering with the Cascade Sports Network. This partnership will allow us the opportunity to amplify our message and reach even more student athletes through the Odd Coaches Podcast and other exciting initiatives. Join the CKA Save Project and the Cascade Sports Network as we empower the next generation of student athletes. Visit CKA on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org to learn more. Let's work together to find the balance and help unlock your potential. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. In segment 2, is Steph Curry selling out or cashing in? Let's have the conversation. So, Golden State Warrior icon Steph Curry has officially ended his high-profile sneaker free agency, signing a massive 10-year, $400 million contract with Chinese sports apparel giant Li-Ning. And I hope I pronounced that correct because I don't go to the mall to buy shoes. Okay. This is a comprehensive partnership where Curry retains sole ownership of his Curry brand, which mutually divorced from Under Armour last year after a 13-year run. Not a good look, Under Armour. The Li-Ning deal will fund dedicated Curry brand retail stores in both the U.S. and China, expanding his athlete leisure wear line of clothing, a full golf line, and allowing Curry to sign other athletes directly to his sub label. Awesome deal. Okay. Um, Industry sources indicate Curry left money on the table, turning down at least one higher financial offer. But this sounds like a lot of creative freedom, which is something personally I like creative freedom. I'm not going to fire myself from my own company. But we've got a human rights backlash, and I'm a social studies teacher. So the move has instantly triggered political and ethical scrutiny. Li-Ning was banned from importing merchandise in the United States in 2022 due to the U.S. government's findings linking the company to forced labor. Also, following the announcement, U.S. Representative Chris Smith publicly called out the NBA and its players, stating they cannot suggest they stand for social justice at home while cashing checks from company tied to forced labor economy. The Department of Homeland Security is being asked to review how Li-Ning intends to open U.S. storefronts under the Curry banner. Ooh, that's a bit of a pause. So, Will, tell me what you think about the Curry deal.
So the first thing about is the Curry deal is for him. You know what I'm saying? If you think about the history of Curry, Steph Curry growing up, or he's coming into his basketball, his career, I should say, he was overlooked. He was overlooked in high school. You know, he had an amazing college career, but he was still overlooked. He came into NBA. They was calling him small, and is he going to make it? He had some issues with ankles, you know, and he just became one of the best players to ever touch a basketball. And you know, he did his thing with Golden State. You know, he could have easily have went to somewhere else and won some championships, but you know, he stayed with them. He stuck with Under Armour. He never complained about it. You know, they have weak sneakers out going out every year, not looking amazing great. You know, he didn't say anything out loud. You know, he's been ridiculed by his own wife and embarrassed, you know, things like that. I think, you know, for him, that's just his brand. I think he knows. I think he's very smart, and he's like, let everything else be the lights and the flash and dash. I'm gonna do my things. And you can do your money with Li-Ning. You know what I'm saying? I think, and to kind of pivot with that, you know, he was already talking with D Wade about it too. I'm sure he talked to D Wade about, you know, how much the money looking, you know, what's the money flow, what's the ethical issues going on in China, things like that. And you know, I think it's a great move for Steph Curry. And then when you talk about the totality of the United States and what that means for us, um, we block a lot of technology from China. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of cars that are you can't buy. Like I forgot the name. It starts with the H. Huawei, but they're like an amazing electric car company because we can't have, and I'll speak as American. I'm not, you know, but we can't have us battling with these companies. You know, I'm sure Li-Ning makes amazing sneakers and apparel. I can't have them battling with Nike. You know, that's just the thing that we're talking about. I can't have them competing with Huawei and Apple. I can't have these, you know, these tech companies working with that making us money. But you know, at the end of the day, you know, in my opinion, that's what America talks about. Free trade, free trade, free trade until free trade doesn't work for them. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Well, shouldn't he put money back in over here, over here, over here? So at the end of the day, they're just mad that he ended up not going with an American retailer, which is totally and legal. So you know, it's just for not, in my opinion. They're just crying about it, but good big win for the Curry fan for sure.
All right. So, Danny, is just a regular basketball fan who occasionally goes to the store to buy some sneakers, any thoughts on this deal?
I'm not mad at the deal. I've always said if that's the best deal for you, take it. Look into it, see what they say. If that's what's working for you and what you're trying to do, sign a deal. But miss me with this whole old Li-Ning is doing all this forced labor and NBA players aren't on this, you know, social justice kick, da 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 da. When y'all aren't saying, let me stop, because I like buying Nike shoes. And if you're gonna get upset about, you know, forced labor from Li-Ning, you need to say something to Nike because they had some forced labor allegations a couple years ago, and some of y'all are still supporting Nike. So miss me with that.
All right.
I ain't all for that.
All right. So now let's get to the Dallas Mavericks and their search for a new head coach. So Dallas is looking to bounce back from a chaotic 16-month stretch, which is headlined by the media saying it's a disastrous trade with Luka Doncic, even though both teams are pretty much not going anywhere. The new leadership, led by Masai Ujiri and GM Mike Schmitz, is tasked with building around reigning, defending Rookie of the Year and generational talent Cooper Flagg. Kid's good. So you're looking at different types of coaches. Maybe John Shire from Duke or Dusty May from Michigan, but it's kind of hard to leave college with the money they're paying college coaches. And then you have a different set of assistants, and you also have the regular callbacks. So, Danny, what do you think? What direction should the Mavericks go?
The Mavericks need to go to a coach who has his chops on the defensive end and also has some ties to very good player development. Because Dallas's issues has never been on the offensive end, as I was looking at them last season. They're fine in that department. Cooper Flagg, once Kyrie comes back, he had his time as the man with the ball in his hands. Now you need to get someone to have him develop what it's like to be off ball, moving without the ball, because we know what he can do with it in his hands. Once Kyrie comes back, he will no longer be the primary ball handler on the floor anymore. So now you need to get a coach that's going to help him develop off ball and a coach that's going to help him defensively. Because he showed signs of a perennial defensive player last season. So now you just need that coach to groom that defensive skill set and to the point where he's going to be an all-world type player. He already is like that on offense, and he has signs of it on defense. So, I mean, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about guys like Tony Dobbins, Micah Nori. Those would be some two guys I would look at. As far as John Shire and Dusty May, leave them alone. They're not leaving. Dusty May just came off a championship. He's not going anywhere. John Shire is bringing in top recruiting class after top recruiting class after top recruiting class and is getting 30 wins a season and is being paid very heavily for it. So leave John Shire and Dusty May alone. They're not going anywhere. Look in the league, look into one of these assistant coaches on the sideline who is great at listening and developing young talent.
All right, Cadman, what direction would you go with Dallas?
I'll look at straight at Tony Dobbins. I mean, I'm looking at the list of the guys that you're looking at, and right now, I think based on your talent, based on your star that you have right now, that's a great fit for them. You know, he has a championship pedigree. He's worked with obviously one of his mentor, Cooper Flagg. One of his favorite players is Jason Tatum. I think that goes a little further. You know, for whatever it is, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I think you know, like Danny said, you need a guy who goes in there with player development, patience. Yeah, that's a big thing, patience. Because
Yes.
because I surmise that even though they're playing with Kyrie right now, in the next 2 years they're going to get rid of him, and they're going to bring in another young player to kind of manage and think how they're going to have. You have to have the process already set up. So it's like, great, Kyrie, thanks for the 2 years. We bring in this kid. Our new process is set up. It works on this, and blah 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 blah, and that's how we keep moving. We don't stop. But the good thing about it is the Mavericks. I think they're a year behind. I think they should have fired their GM when they traded Luka. I don't think they should. I mean, if in my opinion, what are we keeping you for? What are we keeping you for? And then the same, and then you trade AD. Well, they traded AD after that, but either way, I think they're a year behind that because why are you here? They could have had Cooper Flagg anyway. They had their pick anyway. They'd had a Cooper Flagg. They'd have been taking him, and then they would have already started the process of they'd have been got rid of AD. They would have been got rid of Kyrie and figuring out things like that. They'd have managed the roster by now so that They would have been a little pretty more gutted this past year, but I guess they wanted to support Cooper Flagg, and you didn't want him to have to do everything. I remember he was hurt for a good amount of time this season. He missed maybe 2 or 3 weeks. But I mean, that's his team. So the it's looking good for him. Dallas is a very attractive place to play. Obviously, no income tax, always works for me. I take that. Big city. Yeah, championship caliber. You know what I'm saying? Been to the finals, won the finals. You have legends in your building. It's very attractive. So if it's me, I'm Tony Dobbins, man. Not a lot of pressure to win, but you can win. And that's another thing that I think they have. That's a great opportunity for him.
All right, last call for this segment. Quick rapid fire. Will, OKC, do we do a rebuild or do we run it back? What did you say?
Run it back. Run it back. Run it back.
Okay. All right, Danny, rebuild or run it back for OKC?
I'm running it back. What am I rebuilding for? You were the best team for the past 2 seasons. For what?
Yeah. And gain
Tradable offense, man.
Outside of that. But
Run
it back.
offense. But I digress.
Just run it back.
Okay. All right, so fans of segment 3, we have now had over 10 games in the WNBA season. We can go in a little depth. We're going to start off with Minnesota. We'll be right back on the Young Coaches Podcast.
Today's student athletes face pro-level challenges without pro-level support. The CKA SAVE project is here to change that. For 16 plus years, Dr. Keith Adams and his team have provided comprehensive academic and athletic support from middle school through post-graduation transitions. NIL guidance, transfer portal navigation, academic coaching, career planning, they've got it covered. The CKA SAVE project. When your future is on the line, experience matters. Learn more at www.ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast, and in segment 3, all right, now we got our weekly standings. So, leading the WNBA standings, you got Minnesota, Dallas, the Aces, the Dream, the Liberty, the Fever, the Golden State Valkyries, and the Portland Fire are the top 8. And that next tier down, Toronto Tempo, Mystics, Sky, Sparks, sorry, George, the Phoenix Mercury, Seattle Storm, and I don't even know how they show up in Connecticut. So let's talk about Minnesota and how Cheryl Reeves and Olivia Miles have the Lynx just off to a great start. So despite losing 5 of the last year's top 8 scores in a crazy free agency period for the WNBA, and Nafisa Collier out until at least early July with ankle issues, the Lynx have surged into first place in the WNBA, and they are being led by the rookie sensation sweeping the nation, 23-year-old point guard Olivia Miles, number 2 pick out of TCU via Notre Dame, if I'm not mistaken, is the current Rookie of the Year frontrunner. They're getting it done. So, Danny, talk to me about Minnesota and their early season start. You were a big fan of Olivia Miles. What are you thinking, sir?
I mean, called me Nostradamus. I told everybody, best player coming out of her draft class. I said it from the time she was in from Notre Dame to her time at TCU to what she's doing now. She is playing the best overall basketball of any point guard in the league right now. She's doing things that you expect most veteran guards doing. So what Chelsea Gray would be doing, Jackie Young, a lot of those ladies, what they were doing, she's doing it right now in year 1. And mind you, Minnesota does not have Nafisa Collier right now. And they're the best team in the league, being led by their rookie point guard. She's controlling pace. She's efficient shooting the ball. She's getting everyone excellent looks on the floor. And you can't beat that when it comes to having a very good floor general on the floor. Not only that, Natasha Howard has a resurgence right now in Minnesota with the way she's playing. We're talking about a former champion, former all-star, former all-defensive player type type of player, and she's doing what she would normally do when she was playing for Seattle, just translating into her later years in Minnesota. So it was almost like for a while, I thought Minnesota would take a step back because you lost girls like Jessica Shepard. So I'm thinking like, they're going to have some issues inside. Natasha Howard came in and was like, nah, we'll be fine. Olivia Miles is doing exactly what I thought she would be doing, especially 10 games into the season. So for right now, shoot, if she keeps playing like this, she might get MVP considerations at this point because Minnesota was not supposed to be the top team in the league right now. They weren't, especially with no Nafisa Collier. People thought they were struggling. Clearly not. So Olivia Miles already front runner for Rookie of the Year. Let's just end that conversation now.
Yeah.
The conversation now will be as the season goes on, does she get MVP considerations? Because right now, she's playing like the most valuable player. And the last time we saw a rookie win MVP, Candace Parker did it for the Sparks. So it can be done.
All right. So, Will, I want to talk to you about Caitlin Clark, and you're my captain. And I've openly said on the show, I just think everything with Caitlin Clark has been totally mismanaged. Just what are you doing? So, over the last couple of weeks, a lot of conversations about her sideline interactions with her coach. As somebody who was on a team with a prominent player and a fiery coach, you've seen sideline interaction. Also, they're talking about her interactions with officials and is she getting attention or man, talk to me in your educated opinion about Caitlin Clark and Indiana and how all of this is going from your lens.
I think a lot of it is it's a lot of totality. It's a lot of things that are coming true together. You know what I'm saying? Making like a perfect storm kind of thing. One, lack of playing, that didn't help her personality, didn't really help for people to advocate or things like that. Kind of like, oh, you're anointing her, but she's always in jeans. What are we talking about here? Why are we talking about that? Talking about, I don't think there's problem with your teammates or your coaches. People forget for most people, it's a game, you know what I'm saying? But when you're in professional sports, it's your job. And at every job you've gone to, whether a colleague that you love or not, best friend, whatever it is, you've had a heated conversation within the structure of your job. You know what I'm saying? Could be education, obviously. Could be the legal. I know on the legal field, of course, you're having arguments with people all the time. You know what I'm saying? Trying to make a point, trying to, reduce the amount of money you're spending or whatever it is. So I don't think there's a lot of that either. Arguing with the refs, arguing with things like that. That's who she is. I mean, she was like that in college. She was like that, when she started in the WNBA. She's very prickly, I say. She comes off as like a cactus, yeah, but at the end of the day, her personality is just not great. It's just not a great thing. It's her personality doesn't say warm and fuzzy. It's not like cool, chill kind of thing. It's just this really like weird conversation, and we get so much of it. It's just like, what are we really seeing? But she is who she is. You know what I'm saying? She's not warm. She doesn't have a great personality. She has bad, personality or how she reacts with the refs and things like that with camera. I mean, you saw with the guy with the camera, she like blew out the guy had the camera and he was came in on the huddle. She's just one of those people, I mean, and it is what it is. The best thing for her is at least she's on the court. And she was never a strong defender. I don't think nobody drafted her because she could lock somebody down and things like that. But she's not bad enough that you can't take her off the floor. So I think it's growing pains because, again, this is what her third year, this and the WNBA is a very technical association. You know what I'm saying? They do things the right way. And if you have to get stronger, smarter, faster, it's one of those leagues. And she's been injured the last 2 seasons, so it's very hard for her to kind of build into that. So we'll see. Let's give her a solid 5 years and see where she's at, because I mean, we'll see what happens. Could be a change. It could be a change of scenery too. Look at Angel Reese. All of a sudden now the Atlanta's is fourth in the league. You know what I'm saying? It's not, but I'm not worried about Caitlin Clark right now. If she starts missing playoffs and really missing a lot of game and time with injury, and just continuing her personality, just not being that warm and fuzzy, I'm gonna be worried about that. But we'll see. Oh, and also you're getting a lot of these WNBA darlings. I'll call them darlings. Chase Beckers, dog. People love her. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna get Juju in a couple years. People love Juju. They see her all the time, smiling, going to commercials. I've seen her in Safeway. She has a chips display, and she's smiling at things. And that goes against you. But we'll see what happens.
All right. So Danny, Adams is very, very big on protecting players and putting them in the best possible positions. And I have openly stated that I don't think she has been protected enough. And sometimes that protection is from yourself. And before I let you comment, there was one time with Will's teammate Fowler and Campbell that there was a 2-page spread on what a lovely young man this guy is. And then in the next game, he gets a technical foul for dunking at the end of the game and slitting his throat. Now, the crowd was killing him the whole time we were on the road, and all of that was justified, but not the day after a 2-page spread about how nice you were just came out. So we want to make sure we couch the message and all. So when you see Caitlin year 3 still fussing with refs, it goes back to, when was she told not to do that? So I often tell recruits, including you, I don't care what you did for insert school, because when you get here, this is what we doing. And I don't know if that conversation has ever happened with Caitlin, because she's still making the same mistakes. So when you see all of these things with Caitlin, Danny, what do you think?
Well, first and first, let me watch what I say, because I'm already labeled a Caitlin Clark hater just by critiquing her game, so I'm going to watch what I say. I don't know if anyone's ever had that conversation, because you're right. I am all about, what have you done for me now? And right now, she's playing well, but bad decision making, bad inefficiency. And I'll say that all the time. I'm not going to talk about defensive game. It's just talking about what I've seen so far. And this her personality, she's been like this, like you said, from the time she was in Iowa to the time she got in the league. This has never gone away from her. And you're right. We don't know if anyone has had that conversation with her. We don't. And it looks like they're not going to have that conversation with her, because it looks like this personality is going to stay with her from the time she got in the league up until the time she retires. Because as a teammate, looking for me personally as a teammate, I like that fiery personality. We can reel it in a little bit, but I want that fiery edge in you. I like that. But at the same time, there's a time and place for it. And I don't think no one has ever coached her on when to rev it up and when to bring it and when to dial it back. Because there was a point where, it was a couple weeks ago, she thought she had got fouled and she got rid of the ball, and she turned in frustration and slammed her arm down. I'm like, relax. It's okay. Like, there's no need for all that. So what? They missed that. If you were fouled, they missed the call. It happens. But no, I don't think no one has taught her how to dial it back and when to turn it up. I think that conversation has never happened. I don't think it's never going to happen. Stephanie White is not in this business to try and regulate your emotions. She's trying to put you in the best position to win basketball games. And after the dust up, or whatever her skirmish was with Coach White, look how she's playing for the past, couple games. Last night, she wasn't shooting the ball pretty well, but she's learning to control the pace of the game, and it's starting to show now with the way the Fever played. the game a couple nights ago. I mean, granted, last night they didn't get the win, but she's learned, she's beginning to show the improvement of when to attack and when to slow it down. Turnovers have been down lately. Just give it treat it like Aaron Rodgers. Relax. It's gonna be okay.
All right. So that was good stuff. So to wrap up, you have to say no. And it's okay to say no. And that is one of the things I learned from my coaching mentors is the first meeting you have when you get the job is with your best player to establish that, hey, there's certain things that we're going to do that you may not like. That was the conversation with Following. I'm going to ask you to do some things that's going to make you uncomfortable, but if you buy in, then them other 12 jokers are going to buy in. But if you don't buy in, then now I got to have a fight because you can have one fool, you can't have two. Oh, that's kind of how we look at it. So on behalf of our cavalcade of stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches Podcast, the authentic voice of coaching leadership, where coaching wisdom meets real talk. Also seen on the Cascade Sports Network. And we will see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches Podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Follow the Odd Coaches Podcast on the X platform at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Keith Adams and the CKA Save Project on social media at CKA Save Project. For more information about the CKA Save Project, visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.